Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome to Real Estate Reality Tampa. As always, this is Jim Steele with the Remax Champions and the Steele Home Team. And I'm here with my buddy Chris Deptula from Motto Mortgage. And together we are going to bring you up to speed on what's happening in the real estate and the mortgage world. Chris has a really cool loan program that he's going to share with you. All I'm going to do today is I don't want to talk about that lawsuit anymore because it's honestly no one really knows what's going to happen. So until it happens, then we'll talk about what it is, what it involves, and everything. But right now, it's still so up in the air. It's supposed to start in August, I believe August 17th. But I mean, who knows? They could appeal it. In fact, there was a buyer. I don't know if you heard this. There was a buyer who appealed with his own lawyers. So now that could put things on hold. So we don't even know what's going to happen. So in the meantime, we're just going business as usual, do what we do our regular thing. As always, I'm going to put my contact info up on the screen first. So if you have questions or you want to buy or sell a home, hit me up. Me and my team will be glad to help you. And of course, Chris, I'm going to put his info here. He is your mortgage superstar and expert. There's his email. And take a screenshot of that. And here's his phone number. So no one's better than Chris at this stuff. So as always, like and subscribe. We try and do these every couple of weeks or so. And when there's something to talk about. So without any further delay, let's get into my favorite part, which is the statistics. See what's going on in Pasco. Now, I'm not looking at all of Tampa and St. Pete and Clearwater. That's too much stuff. So we're based in Pasco County, and that's where I prefer to look at the stats, but you can kind of extrapolate them into your area too. So let me share my screen, and we will look at some things that I thought were kind of interesting. So here we go. Okay, so you can see here. What I did was I looked at the last 60 days. Now this is important because the market is really changing quickly. So even what happened at the beginning of the year in January and February is not how it is now. It's all different. So what I'm looking at is the last 60 days in Pasco County. I didn't put any property types or change anything like that. I just looked at every single thing that's selling. So your average sale price that closes is 380,801. That's your average. And that's $206.61 a square foot. So if you're thinking about selling your home, you can use that number, multiply your square feet by that number, and you're going to be pretty close. You're going to be right in the ballpark of what your home should sell for. I know, again, there are some different things that you need to be aware of. If you have a much smaller home, the square feet thing isn't going to work the same way. If you have a much larger home, it's not. It's going to be kind of around this average, which the average in here is 1828. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1828. That's what the average home in Pasco County that has sold in the last 60 days is. Now, this is an important thing to notice. This has really gone up. The average days to a contract are 45. Okay. A year ago, it was like 5. So it's gone up a lot. So that means, if you list your home, realistically, expect a contract within 45 days. Now, I've listed their home and they're calling me in 10 days going, why isn't this sold yet? It's because we're not there yet. We're not even close. We got to give it time for the market to find it, to appeal to everybody. And so on average right now, it's taken 45 days before you get a contract. Now, here's another interesting thing. Days to close. That's something that most people don't talk about. But how long does it take from when you get a contract to actually close and move out? And it's 99 days.
Whoa.
So if you're listing your home, expect 90 days from start to finish. From when you get a contract to when you can move out, it's about 90 days. Okay. And then the last thing is the ratio. 98% is what the sold versus listed ratio is. So you can expect that right now you're coming down an average of 2%. Now, the interesting thing about this, again, is in the last couple of years, this was actually a plus number. They were selling above list price. So now you're seeing we're having to start discounting. I'm starting to see, and Chris will talk about this more in his part, but I'm starting to see people ask for closing costs and get them. People are asking for 3% to help for closing costs, and the seller's saying, yeah, fine, we'll get it done, because they need to sell the house. There is a lot more inventory right now. There's a lot more houses for sale. And the reason there's more houses is because of these numbers. It's taking longer to close them, to sell them, to get them off the market. So there's like a backlog. Houses are starting to stack up. I looked in Gulf Harbors the other day for a client over in Newport Richey. And, in the last few years, any given time, there'd be, 8 to 12 houses for sale. There's 88 right now.
Wow.
So, I mean, again, there's a lot more inventory because we have fewer buyers due to the interest rates. And, the inventory is starting to kind of stagnate a little bit. So that's keeping the pricing in check. Now, again, it's all in pockets. You can go to other areas and it's like perfectly fast. Like if you have a great house, I'm still hearing of multiple offers. I'm still hearing of houses selling above list price if it's in a desirable area and it's a desirable, well-maintained house. One thing I will tell the audience, and this is really important, is I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Did you all memorize those numbers? Good. Then we're done with that. Okay. So one of the things that's really important to remember is because there's fewer buyers, they're more careful. Okay. And there's more houses to choose from. I mean, obviously I just told you about 88 in one neighborhood that's for sale right now. So what's happening is we're having to do work on houses. Like, you got to paint it. You got to maybe redo your flooring, maybe add, granite or quartz countertops. You got to do some things to spruce it up to make it more appealing, versus the next house. So we're starting to see a lot of that people are kind of now. Before, it didn't matter. You didn't have to do anything. And somebody was going to buy your house and pay over list price for it because there was just no houses for sale. But now they're kind of like, okay, well, now I got to do some work. I got to put a little elbow grease in, maybe, power wash the outside, make it look nice, maybe paint the outside. Maybe it's, dull and it needs painting. Spruce it up so that the buyers, are going to come and see it, because right now there's not as many buyers and they're being picky. They're asking for stuff and, it's got to be on point for them to come and, write you a good offer. So, summer's always our busiest time of year. It just started. So I expect no different than any other year. People like to list now. School's out. They're going to want to reposition for the next school year. So if you're thinking about listing your house, definitely reach out to me, because it's going to be very busy in the summer. They're projecting, a lot of sales this summer. And Chris will go over the interest rates. I know that the job report just came out for May, and of course it was better than expected.
Yeah.
So that's not going to help our interest rates any. So you know what? I'll let Chris, talk about that stuff. So again, thanks for watching or listening to me, and I'm going to let Chris take over. I'm going to put it back on there's Chris. Hey, brother. So, Chris, tell us about, this loan program, this Hometown Heroes, I think it's called. And just give us up to date on what the interest rates are looking like and see what the people want to know.
Sure. Well, I'll start with interest rates. They've kind of been fairly steady the last few months. They kind of go up 1 week or 2 weeks, and then they go down 1 or 2 weeks and then back up. So they're kind of like seesawing.
A roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a roller coaster. I mean, and it isn't like wide swaths, you know what I mean? It might be like 1 week they're a quarter point better, and next week they're a quarter point worse. But really, they've been kind of holding fairly steady if you look across the average. I would say right now for a conventional loan, you're probably looking at something like between 7.5%, in that neighborhood, depending upon factors, credit scores, size of the loan, how much you're putting down, all those things, can kind of, factor into what rate you're going to get. And then for FHA or VA, you're probably looking at like low to mid sixes. They're dramatically less. They're probably about a full point less, for FHA or VA loans. Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's honestly right now, there's pros and cons to everything, but FHA interest rate wise is definitely a better bet for most people than conventional. especially if you're not putting 20% down. If you're not putting 20% down, and if you're going to be paying mortgage insurance as part of your payment, then FHA generally is a better way to go. But the one really exciting thing right now that's going on is the Hometown Heroes program was refunded. What happens is the last 3 years, Governor DeSantis has signed a bill that basically has funded the Hometown Heroes program with $100 million. And it sounds like a ton of money. Like, wow, $100 million, that's a lot of money. But the state of Florida is a very large state with a very large population, and a lot of people want to buy homes. And when every person is getting anywhere from, let's say, $10,000 to $30,000 as part of that program, that money actually goes pretty quick. So we were kind of expecting that.
How long do you think it lasts?
I'm thinking 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Last year it lasted about 8 or 9 weeks. But this
year, gotta get on it then.
Yeah, there is a pent up demand this year for this program. And basically, and you can reach out to me to see if you qualify. But the bottom line is that, if you've got a 640 credit score, if you have a full-time job here in the state of Florida, then you generally, can qualify for this program. Now, you also have to be a first-time home buyer, and everybody who's on the loan has to be a first-time home buyer. So if you're married or if you're on the loan with somebody else, they can't have ownership, or have had ownership in the last 3 years, of a home. So those are the three big, caveats to the program. But it's an amazing program. I mean, they're going to provide you with a loan, 0 interest, 0 payment, up to $35,000 to purchase a home. And that's basically 5%, toward, the home. And when you think about it, if you're going FHA, you need 3.5% down. And then you've got another 1.5% left over for closing costs. And that program also has lower closing costs than the regular FHA loan does. So that 5% generally covers like the vast majority of your down payment and your closing costs. You might, if you're buying a $300,000 home, you might need $2,000 to buy a house. Like it really is that low.
Wow.
Like you can literally get into a home with very, very low. And if you're VA, like if you're going VA and you qualify for a VA loan, you already don't need a down payment. And then they're going to provide you with all the closing costs. So if you're a VA buyer and you're using the Hometown Heroes program, you are getting into a brand new home, just paying for inspections and an appraisal. That's it, out of your pocket.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's no money out of your pocket. So if you're renting right now, and as long as you can qualify, why in the world would you not jump on this program if you're a VA? I mean, you can literally, stop renting, get into a home, start building some wealth, and really have no money coming out of your bank account. I mean,
that's amazing.
It is. It's an amazing program. It really is good. And we've got a few other options, but the Hometown Heroes is definitely the best out of the bunch. Now, the great thing about this program is right now it's June 7th, right? So we've got 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks, until the program is scheduled to start. What they've allowed for is you can actually go under contract now. Like if you go out this weekend and you find a home that you love, and that seller is willing to wait a little while to close on that home, just like you were showing, the time to close is extending a little bit lately, then you can actually like sign the contract this weekend and then, hopefully you're already pre-approved, but if you're not, you can call me and get pre-approved for the program. But you can literally get under contract, and then July 1st, we submit the loan and we start the loan and we can close it by like July 21st. But the key thing is that you don't have to wait. I mean, you don't have to sit there and wait to look until July 1st. You can be looking now, get under contract now, and then just establish the closing date, after the 21st of July, and you're good to go. I mean, it's amazing. Awesome. It is. And the other thing too is if you wait till July 1st, then everybody else who's waiting till July 1st, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's going to be crazy. I mean, you might be going to an open house, I don't know how the days fall, but let's say that first weekend, right after July 1st, you could be going to open houses and having 10 people waiting outside to see the open house. You know what I'm saying? Because all these people are going to be looking, you know what I mean, for certain price range homes for first-time home buyers. Let's say in the 250 to 350 range, right? You know, that's probably the normal range for a first-time home buyer. And all of a sudden you're overbidding on houses, you know, because now you're competing against all those other buyers. Whereas if you go out
July 1st is a Monday. So it
it's a
starts
Monday?
the beginning of that week. Yeah,
So there you go. So that first weekend afterward, you know, it could be crazy. You know, it literally, you could be having overbid, and then your appraisals come back short and it turns into a mess. You know, I did, you know, a couple summers ago. So I would highly recommend getting pre-approved now. You know,
speaking of that, I put it on the screen here. Motto, Chris, tell them where they go to get pre-approved.
You can go to my website, get pre-approved. You can reach out to Jim and his team. They can get you, you know, to start looking and getting you set up on the MLS for some things to look at. And I mean, start showing you some homes and go under contract now. Beat the rush, you know, and just like you said, inventory sitting, listings are sitting a little bit, you know, and people probably wouldn't have an issue with having a little longer closing date, you know, past that July, as long as they know they've got a good solid buyer, they got a program in place, good pre-approval, they'll probably be cool with that. You know, they'd be good. I mean, that's really the main thing I wanted to touch on today. And it's just
excellent.
Now is the time, you know, now is the time to make this happen. If you're a first-time home buyer and you really just want to get out of renting, now is the time to do it. You know, even, you know, if it's going to cost you to break the lease, which happens to a lot of people, you know, they might have to pay 2 months rent to break a lease. You know, here's the thing to think about too. You know, if you close, let's say in like late July, right, you're going to skip a payment. Like you don't make your first mortgage payment until September 1st. So you're going to go like the whole month of August, you know what I'm saying, with basically no payment, you know, being in the home.
Yeah, that's nice.
So it's something to think about. It's not really going to cost you 2 months, you know what I'm saying, to break the lease. It's really just going to cost you 1 month, you know, to break the lease because you're going to save that money. So just something to think about there as well.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, brother, I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot for that. So again, people, like and subscribe for more information like this. We'll keep you updated on things. I want to thank Chris from Motto Mortgage, and we will do this again soon. So if you want to reach out, I put my contact info up on the screen. Let me know what we can do to help you, and have a great weekend.
How we going?
You too.
You're going to need to add that coffee.
Yeah.
Goodness. Did you swallow a fly?
Sometimes my throat just gets dry and scratchy. Sometimes my throat just gets dry and scratchy, you know?
Yeah.